Welcome to The Shoreline, brought to you by Shores and Islands, Ohio, where finding your Lake Erie love is a sure thing. Thank you for joining us. I'm your host, Jill Bauer, PR Manager for Shores and Islands, Ohio. We bring you The Shoreline every week to give you the inside scoop on what's happening here in our island and coastal communities. So glad to have you with us again this week as we continue through the month of September. We're about halfway through already. It's been a little cooler, especially in the morning and in the evenings. It really feels more like sweater weather. So speaking of sweaters, I always need a few good sweaters. I always need new things for the fall. So it's a good thing. I know a lot of great local retailers in the Shores and Islands communities. We have all kinds of unique boutique shopping throughout all of our communities. Shopping local supports our local economy and keeps the money in our communities instead of in big box corporations. We get asked a lot about Lake Erie Love merchandise and about Shores and Islands, Ohio branded gear. You can get both of those things at our two local welcome centers in downtown Sandusky and on Route 53 in Port Clinton. We're working on expanding those product offerings in the future with some local partners, so stay tuned for that. But if you need to know where else to shop locally, you can go to our website and check out the Things to Do tab, then click on Shopping. Of course, that website, as always, is shoresandislands.com. When you go there, there are boutiques, antique stores, gift shops, and even specialty foods and farm markets. Speaking of farm markets, this time of year is a great time to seek those out for your fresh produce, for apples, and for pumpkins. Plus, what a great lead-in to our special guest today. Today on the podcast, we're raising a glass to the fall season at Quarry Hill Winery in Berlin Heights. Joining us to tell us all about the winery, its connection to a multi-generational family farm, and some fantastic upcoming events is Emily Specht. Emily is a Cleveland native who earns a business marketing and communications degree at the University of Mount Union. Her previous experience in corporate marketing and event planning make her the perfect fit as the tasting room general manager and event specialist. Emily is naturally enthusiastic, friendly, and easy to talk to, which I can confirm. I've already learned that just in the few minutes we started talking before we started recording. And I should also point out, Emily, that I went to Baldwin-Wallace University, so
yay.
we're kind of rivals,
a little bit.
but still cool. Gotta love those OAC, D3 schools. So
Absolutely.
welcome to the Shoreline. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Well, I'm glad to talk more about one of my favorite locations. I love Quarry Hill Orchards. I love Quarry Hill Winery. It's just a fantastic place to visit. So I want to start with the establishment of the winery portion of it, right? So they started that in 2005, and it's connected to the orchard and the Gammie family who runs the orchard. So can you speak a little bit about the history of the farm and then how the winery came to be part of it?
Absolutely. And we would be doing an extreme disservice to not even bring up the orchard history because we are so intertwined with each other. But like you said, yes, it is a third generation farm first, owned by the Gammie family. So if anybody has stopped by the orchard before, they've definitely ran into Bill Gammie, the friendly guy that hands you apple cider or fruit samples. Often he goes by Poppy Bill if people are extra familiar. But yes, the farm was actually established in 1931. So really leaning into the generational farm there. And then in 2005, they partnered with our previous winemaker and decided, you know what would make this place even better? A little bit of wine, which wine always makes things better, I think. So they together partnered and they planted the vineyard and had a few years before the building was built, they sold the wine down at their market barn, which is kind of a fun way to root themselves in the orchard first and foremost. And then in 2010, our gorgeous building was built, very picturesque at the top of the hill. And you know what? We're lucky enough to really be kind of on the highest point in the area to be able to see the lake. So on a nice clear day on the top of our porch, you can see a distant Lake Erie view, which really, people are always like, what's that blue line out there? I'm like, you're looking at Lake Erie, believe it or not. So yeah, 2010 is when the winery opened for business and when actually our real story began, I always say.
Well, when did your story begin? When did you join the Gammies and start working at the winery?
Yeah, so actually in 2021, I came back after living in Pennsylvania for a few years, and I had reached out to the Gammies and said, "Hey, I'd love to help you with events or anything. I'm in between transitioning from my corporate job, and I'd really like to get more of a personalized job where I'm talking to people every day. I really lacked that in my corporate business jobs in the past. So I reached out to them, and they were like, you know what? How kismet is this that we are about to buy our partnership from the previous winemaker and take over the winery 100%. So this happened at the very end of 2021.
Okay.
And I was hired on to help with that transition, to help encourage new wonderful changes and bring a little bit of life into the winery. And then most importantly, really marry the two businesses again. So we have, over the past 4 years, really worked on having a nice collaborative brand between the orchard and the winery, as well as really lean into fruit wines, which we'll talk about, I'm sure, since it's
Hmm.
something that's super exciting between marrying those two businesses.
I love that. So the building exists. You come and start working there. The marriage exists between the Gammie
Hmm.
family and the winery, and all because they have this all of this beautiful land and all of these beautiful fruit orchards, and started planting grapes as well. But they already are growing berries and peaches and apples, and all of that pairs really nicely into different types of wine. So
Hmm.
you specialize in estate grown grapes and fruit wines. Can you tell us a little bit about the different varieties that you offer and what makes those so special?
Yeah, absolutely. So actually, when you're looking out into the orchard and vineyard from the porch, you are looking at just under 400 acres of Gammie property that encompasses all of Quarry Hill Orchards and Winery. So we have just about 5 acres of vineyard and 150 acres of the rest of the land is fruit trees. So they primarily grow apples, peaches, cherries, and then you name it, they've probably got it. And then we, in our 5 acres of the vineyard, grow what is named a European vinifera varieties. So these are most sustainable to our microclimate, and we do a really great job at growing these specific type of varietals with our lovely soil that we get from being so close to the quarry, which does exist. I actually should mention that there are actually 3 quarries on the property. So we're not
Oh,
just named Quarry Hill for no reason.
I always wondered that, to be
Yeah,
honest. I didn't
yeah,
realize there was a quarrying
yeah.
operation or, that happening there.
Yeah, if you stop by, we have actually a really beautiful photograph. I believe it's from 1905 that has a vantage point from the top of the hill looking into the quarry. And then all of the stone in our garden space that leads down to our pavilion is from the sandstone from the quarry. So our name really is an ode to the quarries.
And I think we should also add, we've talked to a couple of other wineries in our region in previous episodes, but I think it's important to reiterate the microclimate that you talked about. The
Right.
growing season is a little bit longer here. The soil is a little bit richer because Lake Erie
Hmm.
keeps the climate temperate, right? It keeps it a little bit warmer, a little bit longer, and
Right.
you don't have so many deep freezes, those kinds of things.
Exactly. And we have, like I said, really nutrient dense soil where we're at, which really helps us grow. Our best selling grapes that we grow on premise, so estate grown, are Riesling, Vidal Blanc, Gewürztraminer, Pinot Noir, Petit Syrah, Cabernet Franc, Gamay Noir, Pinotage, which a couple of those when I even started, I was like, I've never heard of these. I need to learn. I've always been a lover of wine, but some of these are maybe some that folks are not necessarily familiar with. So it's fun to be able to talk to customers about why we grow these grapes and how the flavors really develop as you ferment them and make blends.
I can't believe that you have so many different varieties. That's fantastic. And a lot of
Yeah,
those are like European varietals, I assume.
correct. Yes. Yeah, a lot of the ones I just named are the European vinifera.
So you do a lot of the fruit wines. So talk about that a little bit. What are you mixing and what flavors are popular?
So fruit wine is made by fermenting the sugars in the fruit juice or the crushed fruit, and then you add yeast to create that alcohol, much like the same process as making grape wine. We take our best-selling fruits from the orchard and we take them up to the winery and then we ferment them. So our biggest producing fruit wine that we sell is apple wine. And we have taken the apple wine and separated it into basically three different categories. We keep one dry, we sweeten one up for the people that love a sweet wine. And then we've also, which is super fun, taken the dry apple wine and aged it in a bourbon barrel to create a bourbon barrel aged apple wine, which is something unique that we offer. It is actually, this is kind of a fun one. The last year that we did the bourbon barrel aged apple wine, we used Everwild Spirits.
Oh, out of Sandusky. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we use their bourbon barrels. So, and those apples from the orchard are Wine Sap, Granny Smith, and Gold Rush apples. So it's a nice blend of really crisp apples, really nice notes. And we fermented that for about 8 months. And the alcohol gets a little higher since you're adding it into the bourbon barrel, which makes for something unique, that might be extra exciting for somebody that might not necessarily like wine or, want something a little more unique, closer to a cocktail. It's a nice little offering. So besides the apple wine, we also do peach wine, cherry wine, blackberry wine. One of our best sellers is a strawberry rhubarb wine, which is kind of different. So like sweet but tart. But all of these are fruit from our orchard that we have taken and fermented just like the grapes get fermented for grape wine, and then created these lovely offerings that some people have never experienced before, which I always love being behind the bar and being able to explain, you're looking out at the apple tree, that green little space over there with the red flecks, those apples are used for this wine. And it's really a wonderful experience to be able to look out the windows and see beyond just the regular vineyard with the grapes, see what else we are using to make the wine that folks are drinking.
That's really interesting to me because I guess I never realized that it was just the fermented fruit. I had always operated under the assumption that it was some kind of blend with grapes.
Right.
So a lot of them don't even have grapes in them.
Correct. Yeah. And there's actually one that we do a blend with. So we just recently released our Buckeye White, which is the sister wine to our best-selling fan favorite Buckeye Red.
I was going to ask about Buckeye Red.
Yeah. Yes. Oh my gosh. I always joke with folks that our Buckeye Red is what pays the bills. We sell more of that than all of our wine. And when people come in and, maybe they're not a wine lover, I'm like, you have to just try the Buckeye Red. You're probably going to love it. It tastes like grape juice. It'll be your transition into drinking wine.
So just for the listener, that's my absolute favorite wine. I have a bottle at home waiting for me right now. And now that we're talking about it, I'm like, I might have to pop that open tonight.
Absolutely.
So go back to talking about the new one, the Buckeye White.
Yes. So for 20 years, we've had this lovely flagship first wine, Buckeye Red. It's lit up in the stars. It's been doing so great for us. And we're like, you know what? We really need a white offering that's kind of its sister wine to, give something else to these Ohio State Buckeye fans, especially. So we came up with a 40% Vidal Blanc grape. So that is one of our European vinifera varietals. It's kind of like a Sauvignon Blanc. It's got light citrus notes, dried apricot. So we blended that with 60% of our apple wine, which is the Wine Sap Granny Smith Gold Rush blend, to make this really lovely, wonderfully crisp apple grape note combination for a nice sweet white wine. It really is the sister to the Buckeye Red. So we just released that in June. So it is fairly new for us.
Yeah, because I haven't had it yet. In fact, I think the last time I was there, it may have just come out. I think I was there in maybe, I guess I was thinking it was in May, but it was early in June. So I have not had a chance to taste that one yet. I'm sure that it's probably becoming very popular.
Yes, and we'll have one waiting for you when you stop by next.
The Buckeye Red, then, would you say that's your most popular wine?
Absolutely. Hands down, without a shadow of a doubt. It's also one of our only wines that we wholesale. So if folks are looking for a quick stop somewhere that might not be a drive all the way to Quarry Hill, we have on our website all of the places that we wholesale the Buckeye Red.
And, you mentioned the Ohio State Buckeyes that, even the label kind of has a nod to not the sports team, but the Buckeyes, the Buckeye Leafs. And it can make a great, this is from Ohio, right? I mean, it's an Ohio made wine. It's a great gift for somebody or a great souvenir of your time in Ohio.
Absolutely.
So that's probably adds to its popularity, even before people taste it. It's just, it's so pretty.
Thank you. We have worked hard on that one. So I'm proud of the new labels that we have to offer.
So you guys also do ice wine. Can you tell folks, for those that don't know, what's different about ice wine? Because I would say that's probably my second favorite wine that you guys make. Can you tell I'm a sweet wine drinker? But
you know what? There's nothing wrong with it. I always say wine is for everybody. There are so many different tastes and flavors and sweetness levels and dryness levels. There's always something for everybody. I think that's really the beauty of wine in general. Yeah. But yes, ice wine I always say it's such a delicacy and such a special experience. The reason why ice wine is such a delicacy is because there are so many parameters and regulations that you have to meet for a wine to be considered an ice wine. So first and foremost, ice in the name, meaning it has to be naturally frozen on the vine before you can harvest. So it has to be below 17 degrees for 24 to 48 hours. We harvest at after dusk or before dawn, so in the wee hours of the night or early in the morning. And then once those grapes are harvested, they're either, rock solid, frozen, or mostly frozen. They get pressed immediately, so that high concentration of that fruit juice is super, super, super sweet and a little bit higher in alcohol as well. The reason it's such a delicacy is because you have to hope that Mother Nature will cooperate and hope that the weather conditions will be great and, we'll meet those the temperatures to harvest at the right time. And you usually get a really low yield. So it's not like the ice wine bottles themselves are much taller and skinnier. And that really, I think, is an extra nod to how special it is. Good things are always come in small packages, as they say.
Limited edition.
Right. Limited edition. It really is a labor of love and something special to be enjoyed and sipped on, like a little dessert after a really nice dinner, a little dessert treat.
And to go back to, the microclimate, we were saying that the growing season is so much longer with Lake Erie. So you have a very small window of time when you're going to have those, ideal temperatures to be able to do that. So it is a very special product.
Right. And you're crossing your fingers that these grapes that you're potentially leaving on there on the vine. I think the second year I was here, actually, when we harvested, we got like a gallon of ice wine. And it was such a disappointment. You're like, oh, the weather just didn't work out. It is what it is. A little bit of a letdown. But then you have the year right after, we got a wonderful harvest. So it really is. You're crossing your fingers and your toes to get some Mother Nature on your side for ice wine. But I really think it's an experience for people to try at least a little taste of ice wine when they stop by.
So if you can't get ice wine, you can mix wine with ice. One of the things that you guys also do that's a little bit different, and you don't get at all wineries, are the wine slushies. So what flavors do those come in, and do you do them year round, or is that a summer delicacy?
Definitely a summer delicacy. I always say, when folks ask, I turn off the slushy machines when people stop drinking them. So however long people want to enjoy a nice crushed ice slushy made with our wine. So we do a little something different with the slushies at Quarry Hill. I always like to pair what we have in the slushy machines to what the orchard is offering. So
I like that. That makes sense.
Right. It makes it fun.
What's in season. Right.
Right. Exactly. So right now I've got peach and cherry, which cherry was at the tail end. And then soon here I'll bring in the apple wine to have peach and apple wine slushies.
So before I ask about the winery itself and things like that, before we move away from talking about the wines, two things. Do you know how many different wine varieties you offer?
Yes, I believe currently we have 18. And then next year we hope to plant, fingers crossed, this is what I am banking on, a nice lot of Chardonnay. I think it would be really nice to offer a Chardonnay. So we have right now a crop rotation where we took out our Pinot Noir and Cabernet Franc, I believe, in our lower vineyard. And we have some tall grass and sunflowers just to replenish the soil. That way we can plant something new next year. I'm hoping for some Chardonnay.
All right, then second question, and this is a tough one. What's your favorite?
Oh, my favorite. Gosh, you're putting me on the spot. Well, you know what? I will bring up one that we are getting ready, hopefully, to bottle soon that I did not list earlier, is our Retriever Red Apple. This is a wine that we released last year for the very first time. And it's a lovely little ode to, first and foremost, the Gammie family always having golden retrievers running around.
I almost mentioned that when you were talking about
Yes.
Bill and how he gives everybody the cider, and then he's usually got a dog by his side.
Absolutely. And so do I. I have always loved golden retrievers. So Layla, my golden retriever, is always at the winery. If I'm there, she's there. She's in our office with a gate behind her, and people come up. I have a little note that says, "Hi, I'm Layla. Please pet me." So folks can come pet her whenever they stop by as well. So look forward to not only having a golden retriever at the orchard, but also at the winery. So this apple is actually a hybrid apple, and the flesh, so the inside of the apple is actually red, which makes the wine a really beautiful blush color, which is fun for an apple wine. And then we mix a portion of that apple with the apples that we use for our other apple wines. So again, that Wine Sap Granny Smith Gold Rush blend. And then it really brings in this lovely crisp, a little bit of tartness. It's a nice, like I said, a nice medium. It's not dry, it's not sweet. So that is my personal favorite wine. And I'll always love that it has a little golden retriever on it.
And is that available, or when will that be available?
We're hoping to have that out in the next few months here.
Okay. Well, I want to talk a little bit about the experience of visiting the winery. So if somebody has never been to Quarry Hill Winery, what can a guest expect when they walk in the door?
I think the most memorable thing first when a customer walks in is the views. Every single time somebody comes in and it's their first experience with us, without a doubt, they say, "Oh my gosh, I cannot believe we're in Ohio right now. This view is incredible." Like I said earlier, you can see the lake, and on a nice summer day, it's beautiful. On a fall day, it's beautiful. If there is a winter storm running through, it's beautiful. I always say it's kind of like being inside of a snow globe. You can experience any season, and it's gorgeous because you just are seeing an almost 360 view of all of our property, and it's nice to be able to see those seasons transition as well. So first and foremost, people are definitely having to pick their jaw off of the floor from the views. But we do bar service, so folks can come up to the bar and they can see our wine menu. We offer tastings, so we do a 1 ounce pour. If people just want like a little sip of something, or if they want to try a lot of wines, they can just get one of each for a little 1 ounce pour. Or we do a wine flight where we let people pick what they want. So it's not a structured flight at all. It's 4 3-ounce pours of wine. You can pick anything on the board. Or if people know what they want, if they want the Buckeye Red, they get a whole bottle. Or if you want a glass of something specific, you get a glass. So when they come up to the bar, they can order wine. We also have a lovely shareable lunch and dinner menu with cheese platters, shareable dips, all sorts of things. I'm excited to bring back our soup sometime soon here now that the weather's getting a little chillier.
Sweater weather. Soup weather too.
Is ready for some lobster bisque. So folks can look forward to that in the next coming weeks here. And then depending on the weather, they can either sit on the porch outside, or like I said, they can sit by the crackling fireplace and listen to live music on a Friday night. So whatever the season is, they have some views to look at.
Well, speaking of the live music, you have a lot of regular entertainment, that's just part of your normal schedule. So is it every Friday night, or how does that work? When are you likely to come across, some live music?
Absolutely. Every single Friday night and Saturday night, all year round,
Okay.
6 p.m. to 9 p.m., we have music. And if it's nice outside, the music will be outside, which is lovely. And during the winter months, like I said, we'll have the fireplace on, the music will be inside. It's a nice way to be outside from the winter cold that we often experience in Ohio, but being able to see it at the same time.
I think that really speaks volumes too, though. That you are a year-round destination.
Right.
There's so many windows on the building and being up so high. Yeah, it really makes it a spectacular view, whether you're there spring, summer, fall, or winter. I mean, it's a special place to visit. So in your intro, we mentioned that you are an event specialist. So I assume that means that you love to craft, different special events at the winery. So what kind of things do you do there that you love, and what do you have coming up in September and October?
The events are my truest treasure. I love to plan events. I love to see all of the hard work pay off when people are arriving and getting excited to experience whatever we have to offer. So my very favorite, near and dear to my heart events that we host are called the 5-course dinner and wine pairing events. And this is a very intimate occasion. I only cap the tickets at 30 people just so that it has a really nice intimate feel for small dinners. But it is a 5-course dinner. So I come up with the menu and I pair each of our wines with the food. And I always say that wine is meant to be experienced with the people that you love most and the food you love most. There's something really interesting that happens. And, I would love to know the science behind it, but I just like to experience the wine, to be honest. But there's something really wonderful that happens when you pair wine and food together. You really get different flavors from both sides, different flavors from the food and different flavors from the wine. So these 5-course dinners are near and dear to my heart. I love trying to figure out what's in season and how I can pair those foods with what we have to offer with the wine and what can really bring out and marry those melodies together. So sadly, I wish I had more room, but our September 5-course dinner is already sold out, which I think is a great thing. I'm not complaining at all. It's a good problem to have. But our next 5-course dinner will be December 11th. And that one's really fun in particular because I lean into the holidays. I lean into ideas for folks to take home for their own gatherings. And, it's the season of hosting. So that one's a really fun one. And then I always offer a discount for to-go wine if people want to take a couple bottles home and, make that dish at home and pair it with the wine and offer it to their family for the holidays. So the 5-course dinners are definitely my absolute favorite.
Those sound really fun. You also do a lot of vendor events and book clubs and just unique different things that you wouldn't think of as a winery. And I'm sure you probably piggyback off of some of the events that the farm market and the orchard hosts as well. Can you talk a little bit about what some of those events are?
Yeah, absolutely. So when I was first brought on to help out with our transition, I was like, what can we do to bring more people in here? And I remember talking to my mom about it, and she was like, you have to do something for Mother's Day, especially if you're going to be working and I want to hang out with you. You should do something for Mother's Day. So we had planned our very first Mother's Day vendor market, and I guess it was 2022. And I did a build your own flower station where people could come in and build their own bouquets, whether their mom was, standing right next to them or they were taking it home to them afterwards. That was a really lovely experience. But we also offer special wine cocktails where I make a cocktail with our wine. Those are kind of fun for the holiday events. Mm. And then, of course, vendors. I am a lover of homemade goods and shopping local. So I always try to incorporate all of the things that I love to shop at. And for this event in particular, where my mom would love to have a gift from. And you know what? If anyone comes by that day, my mom is always there. She has a lovely business as well. So she's always my first booked vendor for these events. Yeah.
Mom, I got one coming up. I know you recently hosted a few weeks back yoga in the vineyard and a big wellness event. How did that go?
So the Wellness in the Vineyard event was spectacular. We had about 40 people doing a 60-minute yoga class at the beginning, and then we had some shoppable vendors afterwards. We had Maca Root and Sandusky come and do some smoothie bowls, which was really fun. So it was an overall encompassed health and wellness event for folks, and that was really exciting for me in particular to see because it was always something that I had dreamed about hosting at the winery.
I'm going to guess it's going to be back then, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So you talked about the 5-course dinner. The September one is already sold out, but you have one coming up in December. What else do you have over the next couple of months coming up?
Yeah, so we've got a couple different craft events. We always do a paint and sip every other month. So I believe we have one in November coming up. I am a lover of all things handmade, like I mentioned. So I always try to incorporate some sort of sewing or embroidery. We've done hand embroidery hats, a class before. I'm hoping to do a cross stitch class sometime in the near future where we're either doing, maybe it's cross stitching an ornament that folks can learn how to do with us while they're sipping some Quarry Hill wine, and then they can take home their new learned experience to create more cross stitch ornaments for friends and family. So I always love those teachable courses and craft events as well, just so that people are really learning something and then they can take it home and expand on that, which is really fun. And then I know you mentioned our book events earlier. This 2 months ago or so, we had our first ever book exchange, and it was a smashing success. I am a reader at heart. I'm the daughter of two English teachers. My mom and my stepdad were both English teachers at Strongsville High School. So I grew up not loving reading, and as an adult have rediscovered my love for reading. So I invited folks to come. Everybody brought, as many books as they wanted, and we did a really fun exchange while folks were decorating bookmarks. But I'd also love to invite local authors and have a book exchange or a book club where we pick a book. There's a couple of really fun wine themed books that we could always read.
I love it. So you guys are just very rooted in the community, both in Berlin Heights and in the Greater Shores and Islands region. What does that mean to you? What does that mean to you to be a part of the local economy and being a gathering place for the community, but also being open to visitors and tourists and things like that?
It means everything. Honestly, I've been coming to the orchard my entire life. My family has a little cottage in Vermilion. So being able to have the knowledge of how far this business, not only the winery and the orchard, has come over 25 years that I have known it had existed is really a lovely thing. And then to be able to speak to community members and host business courses or community events and bridal showers. I mean, we are really a part of people's special days. We host weddings, and to know that folks are choosing us to share their arguably most important day of their entire life with us is truly an honor. And I love when people come in, especially those, we have a bridal shower and then a wedding, and then they come in for a baby shower. We're really seeing the entire life cycle of folks' happiest moments. So I think that being a part of a small town with big communities around it is really an impeccable thing. And I am a Cleveland native, so I think it's really fun to be able to bring out the folks from that area as well and make it special for everybody.
And I think you have a lot of reasons to draw people from further out as well, because it is an experience,
Absolutely.
Partnering with the farm and the market barn and the activities that they have, such as pick your own apples and different special events that they are hosting down there. You can really, really make a full day out of visiting between the farm market, the shopping, doing an activity, and then visiting the winery.
Absolutely.
Do you have any other, I know you mentioned the newer wine. Do you have any other exciting plans ahead or dreams for the future of the winery?
Oh my gosh, I have endless dreams. endless dreams. I don't even know where to start. I just love to see this place flourish. And, when I was brought on, I started with doing, maybe one or two events for the entire year where I would focus my attention on those things as I was learning the ropes of everything and learning more about the Gammies and the orchard and how we can, like I said, marry those two businesses.
I would agree with you. Just, having watched from afar over the past several years, how much the business has grown, both your winery and the market barn and everything that, they have going on there. This is the time of year that I probably promote it the most.
Absolutely.
Just because of the apple picking. Apple Peak is a big event that's coming up for the orchard.
And we will have a wine bar down there as well. So folks can enjoy apple wine while they're sipping and shopping.
I love it. I love it. They do, outdoor activities. I mean, they do tours of the Metro Park that's next door. I mean, Edison Woods Metro Park butts up to the Gammie's property, and they will do, tractor pulled wagon rides. And, it's a very fun fall destination for the whole family. And then, mom and dad can enjoy some wine as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So where can people go to find all of this information about your wines, about your events that you're hosting, about special music? How, you mentioned about where you can buy wines at other places, all of that. Where's the best place to go for that info?
Yes. So we are quarryhillwinery.com for all of our future events, live music schedule, and our menus are also on there. So if you are interested in looking into what we currently have as our offerings, our menu is constantly changing.
And watch for the soup to come soon.
Yes, the soup is coming soon, I swear. And then on social media, we are Quarry Hill Winery on Facebook, and then Quarry Hill Vineyard on Instagram. And I always post if we have a new wine coming in. So if folks follow us, they can see what we have coming soon. Always post about our events on social media as well. So if you would like to follow us on those pages, you will always be in the know, as well as you can join our email list if you go to our website. So you will never miss an event in the future.
And what's that website again, Emily?
quarryhillwinery.com.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for chatting with us today. I really appreciate learning more about Quarry Hill Winery, and I hope our listeners do as well.
Thank you so much for having me. It was such a pleasure.
Great. Special thanks to Emily Specht of Quarry Hill Winery for joining us. As always, thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this podcast, please be sure to like and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts so you don't miss a minute of the action here in Shores and Islands, Ohio. You can also find more information, including past episodes of the podcast, online at shoresandislands.com. And we will see you next time on The Shoreline.